Aw, shit. Here we go again. Welcome to the Sloppy Book Club podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Celese.
And this is now episode 4. Woo! So welcome back. First, we wanted to apologize. Our last episode was a little bit off.
Yes,
the audio was off. Yeah, so thank you for listening.
Yes, and bearing with us.
Yes.
I think it's still a learning curve for us,
and
we're just still learning. We actually have like 4 different mics we've been trying.
To see what feels right.
What feels right, yeah. We thought we had it for this episode, actually. We did some test runs, and the mics that we have just wasn't working, so we reverted back to our original mic.
Yeah.
We adjusted the sound a little bit, so hopefully that helps. But we're hoping to use the more like professional looking ones.
We'll see. We'll get there.
But it was picking up so much sound.
This is not easy, but it's fun. Yes, and we'll get there. We're learning.
We're definitely learning.
But we did
sorry.
we did want to give a shout out to EJ Mello because we did talk about her books last episode, and she shared our link to our podcast and everything.
So shout out EJ Mello. Thank you so much. We love you.
Liked it.
We can't wait to meet you.
Yes. All right, so let's get into this episode. What's our plan for today?
So today we're going to be, starting off with the 2 wines like we usually do. And then we are going to talk about some book scenes that live rent-free in our brains.
Yes.
Just something that you randomly think about from time to time. Something that just like stuck with you after reading.
Right.
Just like a scene that really either resonated with you or you just remember because of like the emotions that it brought. So I'm excited about that because we got some really good ones.
Yeah.
And then after that, we are going to be reviewing 2 books. One is a murder. No,
mystery?
Not murder.
Like
it's
a
more
mystery. I think it's a mystery.
Yeah, it's a mystery, suspense movie. Book. I got movies on the brain.
Yes.
It's a suspenseful thriller. I think that's where it falls under. And then our second book is a science fiction.
Yes.
Adult sci-fi.
Yes.
So I can't wait for us to talk about those.
So let's get started with some wine.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll go first.
Perfect.
I have Frey again, but they're Chardonnay this time. I've been just going down the line of their different wines, and so far I've really enjoyed them. So this is their Chardonnay. It smells sweet. The first time I popped it open, I was just like, that doesn't really smell all that great, but I'm pretty sure let's just taste it, because sometimes the taste is better than the smell.
Yes, and I did not try this one out for her ahead of time, so.
No, you didn't. Yeah, it's sweet. It's doing what it's supposed to. It tastes like wine without having any alcohol in it. I forgot to say that. This is a non-alcoholic wine.
Yes, because you're pregnant.
So this is a wine removed or alcohol removed wine. Again, it's Frey and it's a Chardonnay. It's sweet. It's nice. It's light. I enjoy it.
All right, good. Okay, so mine, I have a red wine, and this is going to be tough for me because I'm going to butcher it. So this is from Les Trois M. I don't know. Vineyard, and it is in New Marlborough, Massachusetts. New Marlborough, Massachusetts. God. The brand is Stingy.
I'm going to say it's Stingy.
Stingy Jack's Cranberry.
I actually really like the pink bottle.
You can't see through it,
You can't see through it. It's a really nice bottle. I guess there's like a man on it, and he's holding up the wine too. It's actually really cute.
Ooh, that's really good.
Is it?
That's delicious.
Is it like sweet? Is it like sour, bitter?
It's definitely not bitter. It's a little sweet. It gives you like that taste in the back of your mouth, like a cranberry.
Okay. Like a tarty kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remind, like, cranberries, I always feel like tarty.
I'm going to finish this whole bottle.
Oh, my God.
I'm definitely going to finish it. It's really good.
Is it? Awesome. Well, that's better because I think last week's you didn't really enjoy last week's.
The last two, oh, no, it was last week because the one before I did enjoy that one.
I think the last one you didn't, it wasn't your favorite.
Yeah.
But, hey.
This was good. Yeah.
And it's red. I like it. It has a really pretty color. I like the bottle. It's like a magenta pinkish bottle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
me and bottles. Sometimes when you're picking out wine, sometimes that visual is really good. And I really like that bottle. Yeah. Okay. Now, those were the wines. Jenny really likes hers. You guys should have just saw her face. Like, her eyes kind of lit up. So, Stingy. Try it. And then, again, mine was a Chardonnay. Now, let's jump into those scenes that live rent-free in our minds.
All right.
I'm excited to hear what yours is.
Okay, so I'll go first then. So I chose a scene from the Red Queen series. And I know you've read the books, too. It's one of my favorite YA books or series. And I chose the part, I don't want to spoil too much.
Right.
So the main character, Mare, this is a part where she figures out that she trusted the wrong brother.
Because she's been in kind of like a love triangle kind of thing.
It doesn't get too far into it because this is the very first book. So she goes back and forth between figuring out who to trust.
Right.
And when you're reading it, you're kind of in the same boat as her because you're not really sure who to trust. And she, of course, chooses the wrong brother at some point. And there's a part where there's this war happening and it totally flips around. Super jaw-dropping. I slammed my book shut. My husband looked over at me and asked me what the hell was wrong. So, yeah, that was a scene that definitely I think about all the time.
Is when you find out that she chose the wrong person.
Yes.
That she entrusted.
Yes.
Yep, I remember that, and I was kind of heartbroken because I guess in the beginning you kind of feel sorry for this character. You're made to believe maybe
you pity him.
You pity him, you do. So when he kind of flips on her and it's like that, haha, I got you.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, I definitely remember that.
And that scene leads into one of my favorite quotes from the entire series, which that the now villainous brother says, "The truth is what I make it. I could set this world on fire and call it rain." And I absolutely love that quote so much.
Yes, that's a great book.
I hate him, but I love the quote.
No, that was really great. And, it's actually being made into a series.
Yes.
So we're super excited about that. Something that I know we both talked about was just how the book, the wardrobe, the visuals of the wardrobe, was something that we've always, talked about. Oh my God, how are they going to put this on screen? Because a lot of it is intricate, kinds of design. Yeah. So I'm super excited. It's almost like a Hunger Games because in Hunger Games, they're dressed, when they go on the show.
Right, they need to make an appearance
or
whatever. Yes. So, all of the characters in the books who actually have powers and are noble, are from noble lines, actually have really nice wardrobes. Yes. Especially Evangeline.
Yes. I can't wait.
It's top tier. I think that one's going to be the nicest. And I can't wait for the show.
Because, she's all metal. She controls metal. So that's going to be really cool to see. That's a really great scene. Yeah. So that was Red Queen.
Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take us back to Sarah J. Maas. I feel like we talked about her in every episode. But I mean, there's just some scenes from her books that are just amazing. And one of them for me is from her first series, the Throne of Glass series. And it's actually book 7, Kingdom of Ash. It's the last few pages of chapter 90. It starts at page 747. And it's the part where the witch mirrors are being brought in. And the characters are feeling like they're gonna lose the war or this battle rather, because they're trying to hold the line until the queen gets there with her added army. Mm-hmm. But their numbers are dwindling. There's no like what do I want to say? They almost like they're giving up almost because they're like, oh my God, look at this army coming to us.
They feel defeated.
Yes, at this point. And so it makes me so emotional.
It is emotional.
It's a very emotional scene because Manon and her 13 have been holding the line, but they're losing. And so what they do is the 13 kind of look at each other and they're deciding something behind Manon's back, but she's not registering that. You kind of get a glimpse of like, what are they up to? Because they all kind of look at each other, and Manon is, she's their leader. Mm-hmm. So what Asterin does is she knocks her down so she isn't able to fight them.
Oh, my tears.
Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna do the yielding, which is basically when you give up your last bit of power and like almost like a suicide trigger, kind of thing where, the last bit of your power is the strongest, but you eventually die because of it.
Yeah.
And they're going to do this because the witches have these mirrors that have been amplifying power, and they know if these mirrors get close to the castle, they're done. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to survive.
Correct.
So what they're going to do is they're going to stop the mirrors. They're going to try and blow it up. They're going to try and get back at the witch matron who's been evil to the 13, especially Asterin. And this is my favorite scene because of the emotions of them telling Manon to live and to bring their people back home. Oh, and it's just such a great scene.
It is. And mind you, like, these witches are super badass.
Yes.
Like, the entire series, they're like bad, but you feel how much they love each other.
Yes.
And how much they love Manon, their sort of leader.
Yes.
They don't really talk about it, but you feel it.
Yes.
They never say it.
Yes.
You feel it.
Because anytime Manon and her grandmother had any disputes, they mention how, like, the 13 would, like, kind of, like, grip their daggers or try to step forward because they're like, you're not going to talk to our leader like that.
Right.
But because of it being the matron and her being like almost like queen to their coven, they couldn't really step on her toes.
Exactly.
But their real, their loyalty was always to Manon. And I think that's what really kills me was just that loyalty and them not being able to live in a world where she wasn't there.
Right.
So they were going to do whatever it took for her to live. And and then Asterin, when she took off her shirt and her brand, because, so Manon's grandmother, the matron of the coven, she branded Asterin. Yes. So before, Asterin, her last kind of like F you to her was like, even though you branded me, I'm gonna go out with everyone seeing my brand.
Yes.
My branding. And I don't know, that yielding and them, that love of like their leader, and it was just amazing. And what broke my heart was like Manon couldn't do anything. Yeah. She could just only watch them surrender and like do the yielding to protect her and eventually hopefully bring the witches back together and bring them back to their homeland, which is
such a powerful scene. Oh my! Every time.
So again, it was Kingdom of Ash, the last few pages of chapter 90. Once you read it, I think you're just gonna be like, that's pretty powerful.
When somebody can really make you feel that way without actually reading the words, any dialogue that comes along with that, it's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I'm always telling Jenny, I'm like, how is this not a show
I
yet?
know, that should have been first.
We love A Court of Thorns and Roses. We love the series. But I feel like A Court of Thorns and Throne of Glass just has so much character depth and stories and
Agreed with that. Yeah.
So many things so many characters you can fall in love with. Not to say like her other series aren't like that, but I feel like there was so much character development within each book, within each character that is just like, to see it on screen would just be amazing. Yeah. If they started with that series, Throne of Glass, before ACOTAR. Like, I'm excited to see ACOTAR as a show. But I don't know. Like I said, there's just like so much depth that I think it would be amazing to see on screen.
Agreed. Yeah. I think we all would love to see that. But maybe they would have ruined it. Who knows? Maybe. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. All right. So I think it's time to get into our highlights.
Yes.
Of the episode. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get into my pick, I think. So we're going to go into The Very Mates. It's a sci-fi alien romance by Elizabeth Stevens. So there are 9 books in this series.
I love a good series book.
Unfortunately, I have not read them all.
Mm-hmm. It's like almost like when you get a good Netflix show that has like a ton of episodes. You're just like, yes.
If only I could get to them all.
Yeah.
There's so many books that we need to get to.
Yeah.
So I've read the first 2 and am kind of like a third of the way into the 3rd book.
Oh, nice.
So the first 2 are Taken to Viraxia and Taken to Nobu. They are adult books. Yes. For sure. They can all be read as standalones because they all have their own main characters, own planets. Mm-hmm. So single book.
So even though it's a series, you can still just pick up anywhere within.
Exactly. Because like the first book, obviously, it's the first one, so you're meeting everyone new. But the second book, you get little bits of some of the characters from the first book.
Okay.
Yeah. But the 3rd book right now, so far, I know it hasn't mentioned anything of the first 2 characters or the first 2 books. So they can definitely all be read as standalones.
Nice.
And like I said, it's a sci-fi alien romance. So let's talk about Taken to Viraxia first.
Okay.
So this first book, it kind of throws you into what kind of planets and whether there's aliens, half aliens, humans, and whatnot. So there's this human planet that it starts off in where this alien that they call Baraku would go to. He has this treaty with the leader of the human planets where he can go there and sort of breed with the human women of the planet. But it's not something that these humans consent to. Okay. So basically it's rape because they chase these humans and they have sex with them. You don't get details on that. You just know that it's happening. So one day this king of like all the alien planets who they call Raku, but his name is Zoran. He goes to this human planet and when he gets there, he's just like wants to see what's going on. Like why are we sending all these resources to this one human planet that we don't really know about? Okay. So eventually he starts to realize that Baraku is kind of taking advantage of their hunting rituals.
So is it Baraku?
Baraku is sort of the villain.
The villain. Mm-hmm. So is he like a leader of his own little planet?
No.
And then
So his second in command, who I'll talk about, he's called Varaku. Okay. So you get to, there's a whole glossary in these books that you need to learn. Okay. But it's actually pretty awesome, and once you read a couple chapters, you totally get all the different words and names and all that. Awesome. So Varaku is his second in command. Okay. And he's actually the leader in the second book.
Oh, okay.
Boraku is a total asshat. He goes there and rapes these women. He has like this favorite Kiki, who is the main character's friend, who he has raped quite a few times. And like I said, they don't really go into detail, but you know that this is happening. So when Zoran goes to this planet, he he walks around and all these human women and men, they're all kind of standing around waiting, expecting this hunt to happen. Mm-hmm. And then he realizes that there's some kind of like mating thing called a zana zana. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, it's when you're near your mate. Okay. You get like this overwhelming desire to be with your mate. Except he doesn't have a mate. So he's like, whoa, what is happening? Mm-hmm. And
I'm feeling feelings.
Yes. The main character, Miyari, is sort of feeling the same thing like right at the same time. So she's basically having an orgasm like off to the side on her own. But she has no idea what's happening. She's just like, what?
Why is my body doing this?
I'm wet. So he finds her and her friend Vera. So there's two friends of the main characters, Vera and Kiki. Her friend Vera is like, no, you can't take her. She's underage pretty much. Mm-hmm. She won't be of age yet. So fast forward to when she becomes of age. Mm-hmm. He leaves. Mm-hmm. He comes back. Svera and Kiki tried to take Miyari away. Mm-hmm. So Svera is trying to protect him or protect her and trying to
because they haven't had good experiences with the aliens.
All they think is that they're there to have sex with them and leave. Mm-hmm. So Miyari is actually a product of an actual breeding that happened with an alien and human. Mm-hmm. So she's half alien, half human, living in this human world where people kind of look at her different because she is half alien. Mm-hmm. So they escape, Kiki and Miyari. They get attacked by some creatures. Zoran finds her because, it's his mate, so eventually he's going to find her. And he, along with Varaku, take Kiki and Miyari to Varaxia.
And that's his planet.
That is Zoran's planet. Yeah, the king.
Okay.
So this is the last we hear and see of Kiki. She gets into like this healing tank because she was attacked first. So they're kind of trying to heal her. Mm-hmm. And she's Varaku's mate. Okay. So he's kind of, I know it's a lot at first, but you get it pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. So we don't hear about them anymore. Zoran and Miyari, this whole book is about them. They're kind of trying to learn each other, the cultural differences. All he wants to do is love her. He doesn't understand why she's like hating on him and why she won't have sex with him, things like that. So like the first scene that they're together, he throws her in their shower because she's gross. She's just been attacked.
He's like, let me clean you up
because you're gross. He like goes for her tail, and I don't even remember why, but he like grabbed it, and she is like overwhelmed with desire, and they start doing hand stuff. But
that's an alien thing because I've read previous alien books, and if you grab their tail, I don't know what it is.
It's weird but hot at the same time. So basically the whole book is like that. She's like trying to get to know him, but she hates him, and he's really trying to appease her. So they start to make bargains with each other. Okay, if you do this for my friends, I'll do this for you. So the whole book is like that, and in the end, there's sort of like this big fight between Boraku, who tries to take her away from Zoran. And yeah, so it's a really good book. It's super fun. If you like sci-fi, you'll definitely love this book. There's so many spicy scenes that are so lovely.
But just so people understand, it's really a cultural thing.
Yes.
Big time. They don't understand, the aliens don't understand what they're doing is wrong.
Exactly. Except for the bad apples.
Except for the bad apples who knew that they were using this human planet. But there's a ton of other aliens that didn't know that this was going on.
No, and they're basically a dying off breed, these aliens, because there's only so many female aliens to breed with. Right. And if they're not your mate, then it's not going to happen. Right. So now that they have this whole alien planet, they have more opportunities.
So can they only breed with their mates?
No. Oh, yes.
So you would have
as far as I know. Like so far from these first couple books, that's kind of what it looks like. So yeah, they just don't understand why these human females are so terrified of them. And
because of all these other breeding.
Because they like have this like breeding ritual where they like harness them up in like this contraption, and that's how they have sex and make babies. But they think it's fine. The humans are like, what the fuck is
what
this?
Is that?
No. So they don't really understand. So Miyari and Zoran make it a point to try to bring the humans and the aliens together and try to make them realize, okay, so this is not how humans want to have sex.
Right.
This is what you need to do. So
that's you need to court them.
Exactly.
There needs to be romance.
Yes.
You can't. It's not like a primal kind of thing where you're like the lion jumping on the lioness. Like, this is not how that works.
And exactly what you said is pretty much what the second book is.
Okay.
So Taken to Nobu follows Kiki, the one who's been in the healing tank, this whole first book. She wakes up in this mountain in the middle of a hunting ritual.
Oh, Jesus.
This poor girl has been raped multiple times and attacked by Baraku. And her mate, Varaku, with a V, he thinks he's honoring her by, like, putting her in this hunting ritual that the alien females normally would love to be a part of. But he doesn't understand that.
Right.
So, again, it's like one of those... He needs to learn to figure out how to court her, and he reads this manual that Zvera from the first book creates. Like, this is what you need to do to court a human female if you think that she's your mate.
Okay.
So this whole second book is pretty much that. He puts her in a house all on her own so she can kind of live there and get used to it. He takes her on a date and he helps train her because she's a fighter.
Okay.
So he helps train her, and fast forward to the end, she actually gets a chance to get into a fighting ring with Boraku, the one who raped her from the first book. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Because, there's a whole lot more that comes to that. I know I spoiled a lot of it, but it's such a fun read. You're not even going to care if you just start reading it. It's really super fun.
I like adult sci-fi. Do you know me and my blue...
So good.
Me and my blue aliens from, the Ice Planet
Barbarians. That's like 30 books or something.
Yeah, so,
It's ridiculous.
I love it. It's my thing.
Oh my God.
Obviously, there's some triggers because of just how the bad aliens were treating the humans. So don't let it sour the idea of reading these books. Give it a chance because it's like a cultural thing. It's a primal thing. They don't understand what they're doing is wrong kind of thing.
You just have to, read the trigger warnings.
Yeah.
That's it. If it's something that you can't get past, obviously...
Don't read it.
Don't read it. But just give it a chance if it's something that you think you could look past.
What would you rate it?
Oh, I love these books. So the first one, I would probably give it a 4. It's super entertaining. It was never slow. It was such a fast-paced sci-fi. The second one, I would give it a 5 because that one's my favorite.
Is it? Okay.
It is. I love Kiki. I love the fighter.
In her?
Yes. I do love that one.
A nice fighting, feisty woman.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the banter was pretty good.
It really was. I love everything about it.
And,
and yes, Elizabeth Stevens. That's the author of The Zaveri Mates. She has other, dystopian type feels, which I'll be getting into pretty soon. I can't wait. But yeah, Elizabeth Stevens
awesome.
Is the author.
Yay.
Yeah.
So this is totally different from what we usually talk about because this is like a sci-fi kind of book, and we want to dip our toes into different genres and give you guys different ideas as to books to read. So that was an adult sci-fi that could be a standalone or a series. I'm gonna jump into mine, which is The Good Girl.
Yes.
By Mary Kubica.
I think that's how you say it.
Please.
I hope so.
I hope
sorry
so. I'm so sorry. My pronunciation is just not the greatest when it comes to names and things like that, and I don't do it on purpose, so I'm terribly sorry. So again, it's The Good Girl, and like I said earlier, it's a suspenseful thriller. It has multiple point of views. There's Mia Dennett. There's Mia's mom, Eve. There's Detective Gabe Hoffman, and then there's Colin Thatcher. So what we know is that Mia's an inner city art teacher from a wealthy family. Her father is a well-known Chicago judge. And we start off with Mia saying that she's going to go to a bar to meet her, on again, off again boyfriend, but he never shows up. And while she's in the bar, she meets Colin. And they kind of hit it off. Her on again, off again boyfriend isn't there. Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of feeling Colin. So she's like enjoying his company, had a couple drinks. She ends up going home with him.
Yes.
What she doesn't know is that Colin actually was sent there to get Mia because he agreed to kidnapping her for some money. Because Colin, he's not like a big criminal, but this is the biggest kind of crime he's ever gonna commit, but the money's really good.
Yeah, they threw money in his face pretty much.
They threw money in his face, and the only reason why he's doing it is because his mom is sick. Mm-hmm. She can't really take care of herself, so he's hoping with this money he can do something to help her, maybe put her in a home or get her some help. So he agrees to kidnapping her. What he didn't think he was gonna do was bring her home and they, have this attraction, but then he stops it and he's just like, no. And then he tells her, I'm going to take you away because the people who hired him, he's like, they're going to kill you and me if I don't bring you to this gang or whatever that hired him. So he thinks he's doing her a favor by kidnapping her and bringing her to this cabin in like Montana or something or somewhere. And so they end up in this cabin. They end up together there. They have no entertainment but themselves. Like they're living off the grid.
Yeah, secluded.
It's secluded in the wintertime. So it's cold. The cabin that he decides to go to doesn't have any working like power, so they don't have any warm water. Any heat they get is from the fireplace
and each other.
We'll get to that because
and each other,
because it's a hot mess. Because really there's a lot of emotional entanglements, I would say.
There is.
So it's Mia and Colin. So now they're in the cabin. She's been kidnapped. Now it goes to Mia's mother's point of view. Mia's mom was a stay-at-home mom, had a wealthy husband, didn't really need to work, just was there to raise the children, almost like a trophy wife.
Yeah.
Did whatever her husband kind of said. And so she's like any mom, if your kid goes missing, you're gonna go a little crazy. Like, where's my daughter? What's happening? So her and Detective Hoffman become very close. He's the one who's on the case. He's the one who's trying to help, put the pieces together to find out what happened to Mia. And in this process, they kind of form an attachment.
Yes. And doesn't her dad, he's super, relaxed about it. He's like, oh, whatever, she'll show up. He's not really,
he's not concerned at all. Which kind of, triggered some red flags. Mm-hmm. Because I'm just like, your daughter's missing. You're a judge and you're not really concerned about that.
Right.
And then she also has a sister. Her sister's a lawyer. Her sister wasn't really that concerned about it.
I remember that.
Because I feel like they always felt like Mia was the black sheep. She didn't really
meet up to the standards.
The standards of her dad. Look at her sister. She's a lawyer. And look at you. You're an art teacher.
Right.
So they didn't really have a lot of love. So it's kind of weird that the dad wasn't really concerned about the whereabouts of his daughter. So that was what's going on here? Because obviously someone, set Mia up to get kidnapped.
Right, yes.
And we don't know who that was.
The entire time. Mia was the dad.
Yeah.
Like, the entire time.
Yeah, I really was just like, okay, he's the only one who seems suspicious enough to, like, pull it off. Him being a judge as well, I'm pretty sure he has some connections. So, now, Detective Hoffman and Eve, they're forming this, like, relationship. So, him being so committed to the investigation, you're kind of wondering, is it to appease Eve and find the daughter? Or is he really doing the detective work he's supposed to be doing? Yeah. So, that's kind of like a question in your mind as well. Now we fast forward where they find Mia. And she is going by a different name. She's like, I'm not Mia. You keep calling me this other... Oh, you're calling me Mia, but I'm really...
Chloe, I
think it was Chloe. And they're like, no, your name is not Chloe. You're Mia. Mm-hmm. So she goes to, like, a psychiatrist or something for therapy because they're trying to get her to, like, put pieces together in her mind because she's been so distraught and something emotional. She has some form of emotional damage and it's really messing with her mind where she's not remembering who she is. So whatever trauma she experienced while she was in the cabin with Colin is triggering these, like, really emotional outbursts for her. So they're thinking with therapy, and I think they even try hypnosis on her.
Yes.
To try and get her to remember what happened in the cabin and to try and bring her back to being Mia. So in this process, they think it's a good idea for her to go back to the cabin. And this is where we find out that while in the cabin, you know, we already knew that Mia and Colin got close. Mm-hmm. But we didn't really know how close.
How close, yes.
And we find out that she actually is pregnant by him. And she loved him. And when the cops surrounded the cabin, when they found out where they were, Colin kind of gets killed in the crossfire. Mm-hmm. They think he has a gun. They shoot him, and that's what triggered Mia's trauma, basically. Yes. So Mia is, like, back at the cabin, and she's replaying the day he died and remembering who she is and everything that happened. And she's looking at Detective Hoffman, and she's like, you killed him, you killed him. Now, it wasn't really him. It was just the cops that were there that had killed him. Because obviously they thought she was kidnapped.
Right.
So Colin dies and Mia starts to remember. Her parents want her to have an abortion. She's saying she isn't. So it was just like a emotional roller coaster. It was so many different, like, weird relationships. And it ends with Mia remembering who she is, and she's pregnant. Now, what set this book off for me to be something that was like, what the fuck, oh shit, was the ending. And in the end, we find out who kind of set Mia up. Or set up this kidnapping kind of agenda kind of thing. And it was Mia.
It sure was.
She set up basically her own kidnapping. Yeah. And what we find out is that she found out her dad wasn't a great judge. He was blackmailing people and wasn't a stand-up judge. And this really bothered Mia, so she was going to blackmail him.
Yes.
So this whole thing was she was going to pretend that she was kidnapped, but really she was in this apartment, and it was only supposed to last like 2 weeks, and it all went to shit.
Too far. Colin took it too far.
Colin?
He didn't know.
Colin thought he was doing something by saving her from these people who wanted him to kidnap her.
Right, but it was her.
But it was really, she told them to hire someone.
Yeah.
But they didn't really tell the whole story.
Right.
So now that I'm thinking this through, were they really going to help her or just take the money?
I think they were really going to take the money, because why wouldn't she just come right out and say it?
Right.
Like, no, I planned
this. Or even those people knew that she was like, hey.
Right.
I want you to...
I think they were trying to take the money.
I think it was too many... She trusted too many people.
Too many variables.
She didn't trust the right people, basically. Yeah. Because the people that she hired to kidnap her didn't kidnap her. They hired someone else who didn't know that this was all a ruse.
Right.
So, in actuality, this was all a hot mess to begin with.
It was her fault.
It was definitely
100%
her fault.
her fault the whole time.
I feel so bad for Colin because he didn't need to die. He was actually thinking he was protecting her. Like, first it was a job. First it was like, okay, I'm going to get money for this. But then it was like, I'm not, he knew that he wasn't that person.
Right, because he had never done something like this before, so.
But yeah, we find out it was her. Trying to blackmail her dad.
But that's what made the whole book so good. Like, that brought it up a notch, I think
so. I absolutely believe so. Because at first I was just like, oh, okay, suspenseful. Yeah, it was a thriller. Yeah, we're trying to piece together what's happening.
Yeah.
The whole falling in love with your kidnapper isn't something I don't really enjoy that, you know.
I love that. Well, that's why Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie.
It's not my thing. But what tied it for me and made it like a wow, like I did not expect that, was the ending.
Yeah. I agree.
The ending really brought it all together for me. It made me look at the story in a different light, because I'm just like, you stupid biatch. Why would you do that?
You're an idiot. Yeah.
Why would you, what in your mind thought it was okay to fake a kidnapping to blackmail your dad?
Right. Like, she could have literally made some kind of ransom note, sent it on her own, and hid out somewhere.
Or even told Colin.
Yeah, that too. A poor guy.
She never came clean about the situation. So now it's were you always a little crazy? Mm-hmm. Was she a little crazy?
I know. Yeah. I mean, growing up with the dad that she grew up with, I'm not saying that it's understandable, but she grew up with somebody who, she didn't really love her, put her sister above her.
So maybe that attention Colin was giving her, she didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
So she was probably even though he's kidnapping me, I'm
his number one right now. Pretty much. Right?
Interesting. I didn't even think of it that way. But yeah, I'm just girl.
I know. It was good. It was a good book.
It was a good book.
What would you rate it?
Oh.
I know. It's kind of hard. But, I mean, it's a good book. It had a good flow.
It had a great flow. It had a great ending. 3.5 wine glasses for me.
I think
it's maybe leaning a little bit towards 4 because of its great ending. But I think, for it being a suspenseful thriller, something I've never read before, I don't read. I think a 3.5 is a good realm for me. Because, I love my enemies to lovers or my fake dating.
That's what's really hard about this whole rating thing that I'm not a huge fan of, because if you don't typically read that genre, you're going to rate it lower no matter what. Yeah. So I bet if we typically like mysteries this,
someone probably what are you talking about? This was the greatest book ever.
Which it really was.
It was an amazing, it's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. So I don't want anyone to disregard
because we gave it like a 3.5 or
whatever.
Because
it was a great book. I read it really fast. Yeah. We actually read it as a group with our friends, and we all
liked it.
We really enjoyed it.
I think it's one of those books where the kind of people that you can recommend it to, and others that you won't recommend it to. Right. Kind of thing.
But it's something I definitely think everyone should read. It was a really good book. You're gonna enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And so that's my rating. Obviously, someone who loves suspenseful thrillers is gonna really, really love it.
Definitely, would rate it so much higher than that.
Yeah, but I'm like a smutty, crazy.
Listen to our words rather than our actual rating system. How about that? I think that's probably the way to go.
I love those kinds of things.
Because if you have wings, we're gonna rate you a 5.
Yes, right. If you're a fairy,
you're gonna get a 5.
You're gonna get a 5. We love you. I'm sorry, but real humans, come on.
I don't want to read about real. I'm just kidding. I would. It really was. It was a good book. It was.
Yes, we really enjoyed it. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. Just leave some comments when you see us post this, because we want to know what are some of those scenes that live rent-free in your mind when it comes to books. What is your stance on suspenseful thrillers? Is it your thing? If it is, give us some recommendations.
Yes, please.
Make us fall in love with it. Please, because we wanna diversify our podcast. Yes, for definitely.
Sure. We don't want to stick to one genre. We want to branch out.
We definitely do. It's our comfort. It's our go-to. It's what we know we're going to enjoy. But we want to, step out of that. So if there's other suspenseful thrillers or mysteries or more sci-fi books that you've fallen in love with, please comment them. Let us know. Because like we said, we want to, build our reading book collections.
Yes, agreed.
They're getting a little crazy, but who doesn't want to add to their TBR?
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
We hope you enjoy it. We're hoping the sounds a little bit better. Bear with us. It's something we're still trying to perfect. It is not easy.
Nope.
So, if we sound a little wonky, sorry.
We'll get there.
We'll definitely get there.
We'll get there, yes.
And we hope you enjoy, listening, and we can't wait for you to listen to next week's episode.
Oh, yes. I think we may do a whole vampire episode. We'll pick a couple books to talk about related to vampires. How about that?
I can't wait.
Oh, God.
I won't talk Twilight.
It's not going to be Twilight.
No, it's not. But
we'll figure it out.
We're definitely going to do something vampire. Yeah. Vampire inspired. So gear up to listen to that.
Yes.
Alrighty.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.